up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat until I met this man right here. I'll tell you what. He will not have to worry about nobody in my family ever vote for a Democrat again.
Feel a shift going on in the African American community? Celebrities and rappers turning their attention to Donald Trump.
I don't know. I've been so engulfed in the big three. And so, I just got off tour in Canada. So I'm a little out the loop. People going to make a decision on who they want to be president. I think it's a personal decision. I don't know if they care if any rappers or entertainers get up there and say anything. It's really a personal decision. People know who Trump is. People know who Biden is. They're going to make their decision no matter who gets up there and pushes whatever agenda they're on. So it's really, the country knows both of these guys very well. So I just think it's going to just come down to a personal decision.
Welcome, everyone. It's Sauce here today. We're going to be talking about kind of the shifts that have been happening recently in recent news. Apparently, a lot more celebrities are a lot more open about supporting Trump. And I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. As you saw from the intro, you saw Lawrence Taylor, a famous NFL legend, seemingly actually he did endorse Donald Trump. And I found it not strange, but it's bringing up this interesting debate that should we care about celebrity endorsements, right? I saw a video on The View. I'm not going to show it here because, The View's been copywriting a lot of stuff that I've been putting out that use their clips. So I'm not going to do that. But, excuse me. But Charlemagne was getting pressured by The View to happily or to be more positive about supporting Joe Biden, but actually endorsing Joe Biden. And it's bringing up this thought that I always had is that it seems like there's only one acceptable way that someone of color or a minority can project their opinion. They have to project the opinion that, it's either Democrat or nothing else. But the minute you advocate for an alternative, that's when everyone in the woodwork say, y'all shouldn't be caring about a celebrity endorsement. A celebrity endorsement don't matter, says the liberals online, but proceeds to make a video about how dumb the individual is for supporting Donald Trump, right? Getting mad at, whatever you guys do, whatever a celebrity do, that's their business. And that's why I put Ice Cube's commentary on there. It's a personal decision. But when a celebrity or someone with a prominent platform like Charlemagne, Cardi B, Stephen A. Smith, when they criticize the Democratic Party openly, all of a sudden everyone got a problem. Black people got a problem, right? When a celebrity come out and endorse Democrats, not a peep out of the black community. But a minute a black person endorsed Donald Trump, all of a sudden it's both sides. Two birds of the same plane, two wings on the same plane. You shouldn't be loyal to a party. But then if you look at their actions, black women, black men are the most loyal Democratic voters. But God forbid a black person says, hey, I'm going to support Donald Trump. Hey, I like Donald Trump's policies. Everyone's going to be trying to struggle session him into supporting a Democrat. It always happens. That's why I don't believe these crap when people on my comment section say, it's both sides, Kenny. Well, Republicans ain't any better either. You ain't going to get any changes doing that. You ain't going to get any changes thinking that way either. You've been trying to hold the Democratic Party accountable. You've been trying to push the Democratic Party to be more progressive. You got it. Now you're complaining about it. That inflation ain't feeling too good. Like I said, a lot of black people can't afford Biden. I'm being serious. And I want to highlight this video with Vivek Ramaswamy talking about what he was pointing out the whole entire campaign trail before polls showed that black people were shifting to Trump. Vivek had a story where he was talking about, hey, I went to Chicago. A lot of black people were open to my ideas. Here's an opportunity. And that's all I'm trying to highlight. It's an opportunity. Republicans got momentum behind them. Trump got more minority votes compared to what he got in 2016. And it seemed like that trend is continuing. And a lot of black Democrats, they like to downplay this stuff. They like to pretend that, oh, this is not a threat to us. But then when you see polls, blacks under 50 are more likely to vote for Donald Trump than blacks over 50. You got a problem there. And I'm trying to just highlight the opportunity that conservatives have to bring more people into their side because more people are willing to listen. And like they said, you can't. There's a saying, is a martial arts saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. When people are ready to hear conservative ideas, they will appear. And I think it's this cowardness that the Republican Party needs to get past and actually make an attempt at the vote. Right? But, I digress. I've been rambling a little bit too long. Let's watch this video with Vivek Ramaswamy discussing Biden bleeding black votes. Let's get into it.
Is that gonna work? It's one Hail Mary after another, Jesse. First he wasn't going to debate, now he's going to debate. First he wanted an open border, now he favors closing the border, kind of. First it was he's for criminalizing marijuana, then decriminalizing it. People aren't buying it. And here's why Trump is winning with black voters. Black voters want some of the same things that every voter wants, which is honesty. Remember, Joe Biden is the guy who had the gall to say condescendingly that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Well, you know what? People have eyes. Black people and all voters alike understand what 4 years under Donald Trump was like versus 4 years under Joe Biden. They respect that honesty, and I think that's why.
And also, it don't make sense for Joe Biden to keep saying that this economy is strong when you got restaurants closing, you got Target and Walmart getting into price wars to see who can offer the least pricing. Walmart say, hey, we're kind of in a bubble because we're noticing higher income, wealthy people are shopping in our stores, which is usually happens when recessions or hard times hit, that people are changing their spending habits. Fast food prices are up 33% compared to when it was 2019. When Biden talked about when he called Donald Trump out for debate, he's like, we want to put contrast. People know the contrast already. They don't need Biden or even Trump to point it out. And it all goes back to that video of Ice Cube in the intro. Everyone can make their decisions. It's a personal decision now. None of this, oh, we got to vote together. We got to stand. Nah, it's not an election for that. Spontaneous orders, as the libertarians will say. Spontaneous order in effect. When it's a personal decision, it's an economic decision. Everyone were to pretend that black people are voting against their best interest if they support Trump. That's a cap. Democrats are voting as to me, there's no point in voting for a Democrat in 2024. And it serves as an added bonus that, hey, if you're a black, loyal Democratic voter, this is a message that you can tell your party. Hey, this is what happened when you don't listen to us. Because you can't gain leverage by begrudgingly supporting a candidate. Because at the end of the day, you still supported him. That's all that's all a politician really care about. Oh, you still voted for me? That's it. You still rewarded them. That's like not punishing your child when they do something wrong. He's gonna be like, oh, you kind of accepted me doing that. Yeah. You yelled at me, but you didn't punish me for it. So you haven't established an incentive for them to change their behavior. This is what I've been saying about the black vote. Y'all talk about don't be loyal to a party. Y'all, but look at it. Black women, most loyal voters. You're not taking your own advice, but you're in my comment section telling me, oh, you shouldn't be loyal to a party. If you're a black person, you're a pot calling the kettle black. Yeah, you're loyal to a party too. I'm only loyal to a party because a lot of their policies align closer to where I want the country to go. When am I gonna find a Democrat that's pro-life? None barely exists. There's no like ideological diversity on the Democratic side, and I think this is why they're losing. And I think that's why conservatism is becoming big tent to the point where all these liberals are trying to come in here and tell conservatives like what to do. Oh, you guys are too extreme on this issue, which is a good problem to have, if I would say. But I'll worry about that after 2024. Right now, I want to continue highlighting this opportunity that Republicans, conservatives have, because I think black people are more open to hear the ideas now because they're tired of being in an abusive relationship with the Democratic Party. That's a quote from some black progressive I heard somewhere. But let's continue with the video.
Why we're seeing these unprecedented numbers from minority communities across the board going for Donald Trump, and I think that could be a landslide ahead this year if we seize on it.
Yeah, they respect the honesty, and they're just getting shellacked economically. Donald Trump, Vivek, just announcing right now he's going to hold on Thursday evening a big event in the South Bronx. What does that tell you?
It tells me that actually Republicans are finally showing up in places that we should have been for a long time. The last time a Republican for president went to the South Bronx was actually Ronald Reagan in 1980, and that made a big difference then. I think we can have a 1980, 1984 style Reagan outcome this year. And I think it's fantastic that President Trump is going to the South Bronx, not putting on theatrics like Joe Biden is doing, trying to check boxes, but authentically actually speaking to voters. America First includes all Americans.
Yeah, and that's the message I stand for too. And I think this is like one thing I think that's holding the black vote back from really supporting Republicans is this conditioned idea that the black community have that a party has to do something preferable for one group of people. That's something the Democratic Party has been conditioning in the black community for decades. It's going to take a while for the black voters to let that go, because they always want, oh, what you going to do for us, instead of, hey, what you going to do for the country. They never, like, if you hear black voters when they talk about issues, especially black women, they have this problem. Sorry, I have to call it out. They always think about how it affects them personally. Now, and I know I opened up with the video with Ice Cube saying it's a personal decision, but I'm trying to get to the point where blacks will be more open to vote Republican, is the fact that Republicans don't really cater to one race, or they try not to. They cater to, hey, look, this policy will work for all Americans. But black people are like, yeah, that worked for all Americans, but what you gonna do, especially for us, right? It's a very self-centered way of looking at things as a group. That's how black voters tend to think, and Democrats play into that. That's why conservatives always say, oh, Democrats, there they go, those Democrats always pandering for votes. Hillary Clinton, I got hot sauce in my purse, right? And Democrats know it works. Because at the end of the day, you put out the incentive, black community. That's it. That's the incentive you put out. The incentive is don't do anything substantive for the black community. Don't do anything actionable, measurable for the black community. All you got to do is kiss their A, and they'll give you votes. That's what you condition the Democratic Party to act like. Tell me I'm lying. And then you got Donald Trump here being honest with you, saying, hey, what you got to lose? Remember 2016? What do you have to lose? And Democrats are like, no, he's a racist. To all their people in the mainstream media, overwhelmingly liberal, the journalists are overwhelmingly liberal, telling you that, oh, he's a threat to democracy. When polls showed out, the voters are saying, nah, Biden's a threat to democracy. Mainstream media, 59% of voters of Americans say that mainstream media is a threat to democracy. And I'll show you an example why after this clip.
I'm talking to you tonight from Chicago. During my own campaign, I visited the south side of Chicago, Jesse. And there were more voters there who agreed with me on topics ranging from cutting off foreign aid that doesn't advance U.S. interests in places like Ukraine, all the way to sealing our own southern border. So I think these historical lines that the media has drawn, that the Democratic Party has drawn, trying to pit black against white, or man against woman, or gay against straight, or even Democrat against Republican, those are false boundaries. When you have an America First movement now, that's, I dare say, reuniting this country. And that's what Donald Trump is going to deliver.
I agree with that. Like, you don't have to tell me twice. I agree with that, right? And the mainstream media don't want it to happen. They don't, right? They'll tell you anything they want you want to hear. They want to lie to you, saying, "Oh my God, you got such disproportional outcomes." And this is one of the main reasons why I think the black voters vote for Democrats, because they have this perception that Democrats are for them, right? Minorities voters are shifting away from Democrats and towards the Republican Party. American policy is going through a racial realigning, with non-blacks shifting away from Democrats, and it's been long overdue. It's long overdue, because at the end of the day, you can't get a different outcome going for the same party over and over and over again, right? There's lawsuits, right? Like, lawsuits need to be handled. Look, end of the day, black community is supposed to be the people that are supposed to be sensitive to discrimination. They're supposed to be allergic to preferential treatment. But Democrats have change has been is racism under new management. That's the Democratic Party. Democratic Party conditioned the black folks with preferential treatment, starting off with affirmative action, 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson, Great Society Act, and all it did was incentivize black people to be more helpless, more dependent on the government, to the point where now black businesses feel that they need grants, specifically for them. This is a Title IX validation, right? The civil rights. Pennsylvania just gave $300,000 of public grants to non-white businesses who pay majority of the taxes. Like, look at it from a racial breakdown perspective. So 66% of your tax revenue comes from the white community, but you're giving the proceeds to only black businesses. How is that not racial discrimination? Right? And I did a story earlier too, that talking about how Goldman Sachs was investing $10 billion exclusively for black women. They're pushing an agenda here. And people want to sit here and pretend that black men benefit from voting Democrat. I don't see it. I don't really see it. I don't really see not much benefit for black men. Maybe someone can tell me in the comment section, right? Water is not racist because apparently black kids are more likely to drown in pools, studies show. So instead of blaming, okay, your like parents or black parents are less likely to put their kids in swimming. Black people don't have an interest in learning how to swim. They don't like the water that much, right? It's a pattern recognition. All you doing is, that's why I said data don't show a narrative. Data only shows a result. And the results are in. Okay, you would take it as, okay, black people tend not to know how to swim. Black people is a choice, it's a behavior choice, it's a decision that the black community make in large, usually. It's not because of racism. It's not because they have limited access to education. It's just they don't want to. Just like a degree. When women don't want to go to STEM, it's not because, oh, women are scared to go into STEM. It's just STEM. Maybe women just not interested in STEM. But they'll create all these narratives just to get black people offended because they know they want to make you emotional. Saying that the most qualified person should get the job, aka meritocracy, was labeled a microaggression. Clown world stuff. This is what's coming out of our universities. This is what they're trying to massage the minds of the youth with. It's so baffling to me, too. And then this idea of, oh my God, you shouldn't vote for Donald Trump because he's a threat to democracy. Studies, I already told you about the polls. I already told you about the polls. Most people believe that Biden, there's a large amount of people who believe that Biden is a threat to democracy. Mainstream media, majority of Americans agree, is a threat to democracy. So the people who are pushing Donald Trump's a threat to democracy, they themselves are perceived as a threat to democracy as well. So this little grant, like imagine Biden. Like I did a video on this. Imagine Biden. He's running on the campaign of he's a unifier in chief, when he's not. Democrats have denied the results of every election they lost since 2000, 2004, and 2016. You can argue they conceded, but if alleging election fraud undermines democracy, nobody has done it more. Watch Olbermann when he was the most popular liberal voice on TV, right? And we're just going to let it play out, right? 1 minute and 57 seconds. We're just going to let it play out, and then I'll give my final thoughts.
There is a small but blood-curdling group of reports of voting irregularities and possible fraud, principally in Ohio and Florida. And that group of reports is moving from that end of the spectrum, in which believers are also likely to be wearing hats made out of Reynolds wrap, other end of the spectrum in which the believers are going to the General Accounting Office and perhaps the FBI. Ohio has other problems tonight. The state reports 92,000 presidential votes did not count.
I think it's perfect. It looks great.
The mainstream newspaper, the Cincinnati Enquirer, reports that officials in Warren County, Ohio, locked down their administration building last Tuesday night to prevent anybody from observing the vote count. 69% of voters registered Democrats, 24% Republicans, yet President Bush got 7,738 votes and Senator Kerry just 2,180. In Holmes County, in the Panhandle, 7 Democrats for every 2 Republicans.
I think you guys seen enough, actually. I think that's enough. I think, like, you've seen enough. A threat to our democracy for a Democrat really means a threat to our power and control. That's the reality. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that. I think the grandstanding that the mainstream media is trying to do ain't really working. And I think minority voters are starting to see it. They're like, yo, you're trying to make your side, your path so rosy and so merry, but in reality, it's worse for my life. And I can't, no one can afford that. That's why I said people can't afford to vote Democrat. Poor people can't afford to vote Democrat. Working class people can't afford to vote Democrat. I already said the stats, and I'm ending off with this. People with higher income are more likely to say that inflation isn't a problem. Who's are the main people saying, oh, the effects on inflation is exaggerated? These wealthy, usually white, college educated, liberal anchors who are in a bubble. All of them are multimillionaires telling you that, oh, inflation is exaggerated. It's the strongest economy has ever been. If you do not own any assets, this economy does not benefit you at all because assets increase in price with inflation. Your buying power decreases with inflation. And that's what separates the party. Democrats have become the party of the elite, the wealthy, and the so-called educated. In my view, I call them the indoctrinated class. But hey, whatever. People, that's perception. That's my interpretation. But let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear what you guys thinking about this. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys watching to end the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.